to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Today, we bring you the Advanced Excel Fill course. Advanced Excel is the most powerful data analysis and productivity tool that goes far beyond basic spreadsheets. It is widely used by business analysts, data professionals, finance teams, and marketing managers to organize data, perform complex analysis, and make data-driven decisions. Mastering Advanced Excel helps you work smarter with large datasets, automate repetitive tasks, and build insights that directly support business goals. In this course, you will learn everything from advanced formulas and data analysis techniques to dashboard automation and real-world problem solving. You will understand not just how features work, but when and why to use them in practical business scenarios. By the end of this course, you will be able to analyze data confidently, create dynamic reports, and improve decision-making using Excel. Having said that, let's discuss the agenda for today's session. We will start off with some important and day-to-day used logical functions in Excel. Then we will navigate into lookup functions in Excel. Proceeding further, we will be having the dynamic array functions. Up next, we will be having data validation and conditional formatting in Excel. Then we will come across what-if analysis in Excel. Once the easy part is done, we will dive into the automation and analytics section of the advanced Excel, where we will look into the Excel Visual Basics, Power Query in Excel, pivot tables and pivot charts, and at the end, we will perform data analysis in Excel along with building some interactive dashboards. Hope I made myself clear with the agenda. That said, if these are the type of videos you'd like to watch, then hit that like and subscribe buttons along with the bell to get notified whenever we host. Also, just that you know, if you want to upskill yourself and master data science and data analytics and land in your dream job or grow in your career, then you must explore Simplilearn's cohort of various data science and data analytics programs. Simplilearn offers postgraduate programs, masters, and professional certification programs in collaboration with world-leading universities. Through our courses, you will gain knowledge and work-ready expertise in skills like Python, Tableau, Power BI, generative AI, and over a dozen others. That's not all. You also get the opportunity to work on multiple projects led by industry experts working in top-tier data and product companies. After completing these courses, thousands of learners have transitioned into a data science or a data analytics role as a fresher or moved on to a higher paying job and profile. If you are passionate about making your career in this field, then make sure to check out the links in the pinned comment and description box below to find a data science and data analytics program that fits your experience and areas of interest. So let's get started with our advanced Excel fill course with a small quiz. So the question is, which of the following is the correct file extension for an Excel workbook that contains VBA macros or Visual Basics macros? So your options are A. .xlsx, B. .xlsm, C. .xlsb. Option D, both B and C. So let us know your answers in the comment section below. Now, over to our training. So, as discussed, let's get started with logical functions in Excel. So before that, this will be our dataset. So you can see on my screen. So this is flight-related dataset, and we have customer details, airport details, and also some capacity and cost per all the revenue related details here. So we will be using this particular dataset to work on Power Pivots, Power Query, data cleaning, and dashboards, pivot charts, and all of those. But now let's get started with the easy part. So here we have the logical functions in Excel. So the day-to-day logical functions that you will be using in Excel will be the if condition. In case if you have multiple conditions, then you can go with nested ifs, or also called as multiple ifs condition in simple language. And apart from that, if you are a fan of using switch condition in place of multiple if conditions, then you can also go with switch. And here you have the AND operator and OR operator here. So we have a sample data set. So this is student related data set. So here you can see we have some student IDs and their respective marks. So we have a wide combination of marks here. So let's say 91, 32. So let's keep the minimum count as 35 for passing marks. So based on that, we can also predict some results here. So here you can see I've already done some test. So using the if condition, if the marks is greater than 35, then pass or fail. So based on that, you can also implement the same. So let's quickly try to implement that. So to implement the if condition, all you need to do is just type down if and press tab to select the function and the logical test. So this would be my logical test. So the contents in cell B2 should be greater than 35. If it is greater than 35, then it should be giving me a value as pass. Else, you can take it as enter, and there you go. Now you can just quickly drag and drop and then start. So this particular function where I just clicked, right, let me just quickly undo that. So here you can see if I expand my spreadsheet, so here you can see a small box, right? When you just click on that box, you get the highlight option, which is nothing but the flash fill. You just double click that, it will extend this particular formula to the entire column. That's the one. There you go. Now you might be wondering, this is just simple. Why just go with an if function for that? You can just check the marks and just add that, right? But we have a very small data set, probably about 20 rows. But in case if you have 200 rows, or if you have 2000 rows, and it becomes a mundane task of every day, right? If you are in business analytics, then you might have a brief idea of what I'm speaking. The values might change every day, and you might have to be on the spot with all the records, right? And you need to be accurate for that as well. And you cannot spend time manually checking each and every record. So in that situation, these kind of conditional statements come handy. Now, let's say I want to go with multiple conditions. Let's say like we have taken a wide variety of marks here, 33, 35, 91, 59, 45, and I want to categorize. So in business analytics and data analytics, categories are the ones which play a major role, right? So in the same way, let's consider this small and simple data set for understanding how you can categorize using the if conditions in Excel. So that is called as a nested if condition or multiple if conditions in a regular routine language. So in the same way, so here I have done it already. So if I highlight the cell, you can see the formula. So it is completely similar to the if condition, but the only difference is we are separating them by a comma, right? So let's get started. So it is similar to if. This is the one ifs, and the logical test will also be the same. Should be greater than 85. In that scenario, give me the value as distinction. Now, the next condition. So I'm separating them using a comma. Now again, the logical test, if cell B2 is greater than 65, then give me first class. Now the third condition, separated by comma, if it is greater than 35, then give me pass. And the last one, if this particular cell is less than 35, then give me the candidate has failed the exam. You can close the bracket and done. Now again, you can simply employ flash fill to get the records for you. Now we have switch. Now there is not much difference between nested ifs or multiple if conditions and a switch. The only difference is you need to start the switch case with a condition which is true. You need to have that condition, and rest everything is same. Now I can just quickly copy and paste this function here and replace the ifs with switch. And the difference I was talking about is nothing but a true evaluation. And there you go. Now you can also employ the flash fill once again, and you have the results here. Now we have the logical conditions, which are and or. So again, let's say I wanted to find out some conditions. If the candidate is having certain marks, right? So if the candidate, let's say I want to filter only the first class candidates or the past candidates. So I want a condition. If the values are greater than 85 and 90, then I want those distinction candidates alone. So I can do that. So what you need to do is just go ahead with the and condition. equals to, and there you go. And the logical function is the cell B2 should be greater than 85 and cell B2 should be less than or equal to 100. If this is true, then I have the candidates who are having marks greater than 85, only the distinction candidates. Similarly, let's say I wanted to find out only the candidates who are having first class or maybe distinction. You can also implement the same using an OR condition as well. So these simple examples are given to understand the functionality of how these logical functions work in real time. Now you can also go with the same is greater than 85 and B2 is less than or equals to 100. There you go. So this is how you can employ simple logical functions in Excel. Now you can also go ahead with adding the indentation, no rows format, repeat. Now you can also go ahead and add those formattings like all the boxes and all those things, which are pretty basic. Now with understanding these basic logical functions in Excel, we can quickly now move ahead into the lookup functions in Excel. Now here you can see we have some customer data and first name, last name, email ID, age, gender, and PIN code. Now this is the part of the flights data that we originally have for our dashboard. So here we are going to understand how lookup functions basically function in Excel. Why are they even used, right? Let's say we have about, I think we have about 10,000 entries here. Let's quickly find that. So there you go. You can select any cell and hit Control Shift and lower arrow key to count the total number of rows. So we have 10,000 rows. Now here I have a couple of customers and their IDs. And now I wanted to find out their PIN code, right? Or some details related to the phone number or email address. Now I can't go ahead and manually find out each and every one of the rows and then recognize if this ID matches with that particular ID in the given table and then extract the PIN code, right? This could be time consuming. And in real world scenarios, this is not at all accepted. So to save time and increase productivity and be accurate with your results, we have a couple of lookup functions in Excel. So you can also go ahead with the index match and everything, but to minimize complexity, lookup would be the best one. So in Excel, we basically had two types of lookups initially, the Vlookup and Hlookup. So V stands for vertical lookup and H stands for horizontal lookup, and then came the advanced version, which is Xlookup. To be honest, if you learn about Xlookup, that would be all for you. But to know the fundamentals and just to be on the safer side, when you are facing an interview and someone asks you how Vlookup and Hlookup works, then you should be prepared, right? Unless you understand how a Vlookup and Hlookup works, you cannot directly proceed with Xlookup. So let's get started with Vlookup. Now, I wanted to find out the PIN code for this particular customer ID. Now, how did I do that? So here, if I highlight the formula, here you have a Vlookup function, right? So the first I2 value is the lookup value. You need to make sure that Excel understands which value are you fetching for, right? So we want to address the person. This is the person, and I want to find out the details related to this particular person. So that person is this particular cell in this scenario, which is cell I2. And now, where can I find the address book of this person, right? So give me the address book, right? The address books you have where I can just fetch all the rows and entries, right? And then find out the matching row and give you the data. So where is this phone book? So this particular table is your phone book. And then you will also explain Vlookup in which page, or let's say in the terms of the phone book, in which page can I get the details? Can you give me the rough idea? So here I have the PIN code in the 7th column. So in this scenario, this can be considered as the page number in the phone book. So what you're basically doing is you're giving the name of the person and the address book and in which page to find the details for. And you are also giving the fourth parameter, which says I want the exact match. Let's say we consider a name called Jack. The Jack person might have a second name as well. There could be possibility that in your phone book you might be having 3 to 4 Jacks with different second names, or maybe Jack doesn't have a second name. Now Excel would be confused. Out of the 4 to 5 Jacks, which Jack should I go ahead with? In that scenario, it might give you the near match situation and can give you the multiple values, but you are supposed to explain Excel that I want the exact match. So here you have C1568A, right? A lot of numbers and a combination of alphanumeric ID. So if it finds similarity between the alphanumeric values, it might yield multiple outputs. You don't want that to be happening, right? So you want to provide an exact match so that it understands I need to provide the user with the exact details. So that's how it works. Now that we have a brief understanding, I know it's a little fast, but again, let's go through a demonstration so that you understand it in a much better way. So to address this, let's type down Vlookup. So this is the function. Now remember, the first part was the name of the person, right? So here is my name, or in terms of the function, you can consider this as lookup value, right? Now comes the address book, which is table array in terms of Vlookup. Now this is my address book. What I'll do is select all the columns here. So I have selected all the columns, and this particular address book has 7 pages. In the terms of Excel, we have 7 columns. Now you need to specify Excel that where to look for the value. So I want to specify column number 7. I'm telling Excel that you will find the pin code of this particular customer ID in the column number 7. Now this is the column number 7, which has the pin code details. Now the last parameter, which is approximate match or exact match. You're specifying here. If I find multiple similar entries, can I give you multiple outputs? No, I don't want approximate matches. I want the exact match. So for that condition, you might have to give the false, or you can select false from here as well, or you can also state 0, and it will be self-understood. And you have the pin code here. Now what you can do is quickly drag and drop or flash fill so that you find the IDs or pin codes for all the IDs specified here. Now let's come back to Hlookup. The only difference between Hlookup and Vlookup is the data will be horizontally set in Hlookup and vertically set in Vlookup. Now before we move into Hlookup or any other further lookups, we need to understand one thing. The lookup functions, both vertical and horizontal, work from left to right, and in Hlookup, top to bottom, right? What is left to right? Now we had a customer ID here in the leftmost section and the output or the pin code in the rightmost section. Now Vlookup will function from left to right. When the output or the expected output is in the right section, the Vlookup will give you the answer. But in case, let's say we had our customer ID in column B and pin code in column A, then it would be right to left. In this scenario, Vlookup could not give you the answer. That's the problem. So whenever you're working with Vlookup, make sure that your output or the expected output is in the right section and your lookup value is in the left section. So remember, Vlookup works from left to right. And similarly in Hlookup, it works top to bottom. So this also can cause a constraint, a limitation. That's the reason why we came up with Xlookup. So we will understand Xlookup further. Now let's deal with Hlookup first. Now we came into Hlookup. Let's keep the scenario same so that it is easier for you to understand. So the case is same. So we have the customer ID. So here the first row. Now we are dealing with row-wise entries. Now the first row is about the customer details. And again, we have about 10,000 columns here. We had 10,000 rows in the first place. Now we have 10,000 columns. That's the difference. And now let's go back. So here I want to find out pin code for the given customer ID. Now how would I design the Hlookup function here? So here we have the sample function. So in the same way, we are giving the name of the customer or the name of the person, which is the lookup value, then the phone book, which is this particular 10,000 columns of data, and then the row number, which page, right? Previously we had the column number, but here we will have the row number. That's the only difference. And we will be specifying the row number as 7. Previously we had the column number 7. Here the page number is 7, but instead of column, we are specifying rows. And again, the last parameter will be exact match, which can be false or manually can type down as 0. Now let's try to implement this. So here we will type down Hlookup, tap to select, and now the name of the person or the lookup value in terms of Excel. So the lookup value will be this one, comma, the phone book or the table array. So I'll just select this. So we will be using Control Shift arrow key and again Control Shift arrow key. So the entire table or the address has been selected, comma. Now I want to specify the page number or row index number. In terms of Vlookup, we had column index number, but in terms of Hlookup, we will have row index number, basically the page number. So here I will specify the page number as 7, and the last parameter, do you want to proceed with approximate match or exact match? By default, remember this, anytime you're dealing with lookups, never choose approximate match. Go ahead with exact match. Of course, there will be scenarios where you might have to go with approximate match, but those are very rare situations. Most of the times you go with the false one or the exact match one, right? So I will manually type down 0, or you can also choose the arrow keys and then press tab to select the false, then close the brackets, enter. Now you have the pin code, right? The same flash fill, and then you have all the details here, or you can just extract this. Do you want to replace it? Okay. You can also type down again. Okay, so cell address. So here you can provide the complete, or you can, freeze these cell addresses so that you get the exact match. So that's not a big problem. So basically that's how the Hlookup works. And now let's come into the Xlookup, right? So now remember the previous time when we worked on Vlookup, where we understood Vlookup only works in left to right scenario, but not from right to left. And again, we also had to select the entire table, right? We had to provide the entire phone book, right? But in terms of Xlookup, you don't have to provide the entire phone book. You can just provide the page number and it will give you the result. Now, let's look how Xlookup works. Now it's simple. Xlookup and the lookup value, which is the name of the person or the customer ID, and lookup array. So this particular data will be in the phone book's first page, which is this particular array, comma, and where would be the pin code, which will be in the page number 7, so or the column number 7, and ultimately you are providing that particular written array. And lastly, you're also providing that I want exact match, or if not found, what should I do, right? I think this is more than enough for Xlookup, and you have the details here. You don't have to specify exact match, or you don't have to specify approximate match, and it also gives you the freedom or the liberty to customize your output. In case if some values are missing, then you can also type down some text notification saying the value doesn't exist, or you need to update your records, or something like that, right? It is more advanced than Vlookup and Hlookup combined. Now you can also drag and drop this particular formula, and we have all the pin codes here. Now this is how the lookup functions in Excel work. Now that we have a detailed understanding on lookups, we can now switch directly into the dynamic arrays, right? So there are a lot of dynamic arrays present in Excel, but the most often asked in interviews and most frequently used in day-to-day tasks are these ones: the filter function, the unique function, the sort function, the sequence, and random arrays. Now you might be wondering, why do we have to understand filter and sort and unique, right? Those are basically inbuilt here. If I just go to the home menu, home ribbon, and then go to the editing group, you can directly see the filter and sort options working here, right? You can just select the sort function and then A to Z, which is the lowest to highest, and Z to A, which is the descending order. It can be done, right? Why to proceed with an actual formula when I have a built-in tool? Again, when you are attending an interview, then the interviewer wants to understand your caliber in Excel. How good are you with Excel? How good are you with the basics of Excel, and how do you understand the functionality of Excel? So that is where you need to understand the implementation of these functions like filter, sort, and all those things. Now, which is really simple here, we have again created a small data set. So we have a small employee data set. So we have name, gender, department, age, date joined, salary, rating, and manager. So here I've already implemented a small filter function where I wanted to find out the team details of the manager, Raj Malhotra. So Raj Malhotra happens to be the manager of a couple of people in the entire company. So I want to find out the details of all his team members. So for that, I would like to proceed with a filter function. So whenever you click on this particular table, you can see the entire table is highlighted, and you have also a shadow kind of a feature, right? So you can select any of these cells and it will not affect anything, but the actual filter function is in cell L2. This is where your filter function is written, right? So what I've done is I have selected the entire data table, which is starting from here to this part, and then I have provided the column I, which is related to the manager, and I'm filtering out manager with specified name, which is Raj Malhotra. You can see the text function here. Let me increase the cell size, or I can do it again here so that you can have a better understanding, right? So let's copy the filter function and place it somewhere here. And now, instead of Raj Malhotra, let's say I want to find out the details related to Sunita Rao. So let's write down equals to filter and array. So this will be my entire array, Control Shift arrow keys, comma. And now I want to provide this particular array, comma, or should not be comma, which should be equals to double quotes, Sunita Rao, enter. So here I have the details related to Sunita Rao and her team. So we have about 4 members in Sunita Rao's team, and she works on both operations and marketing. And these are the details, the salary and all those details. Great. Similarly, we have unique. Now, unique is something which is self-explanatory. It's like the name speaks for itself. It's like the unique entries in this particular team. So again, let's understand how unique works, right? So let me copy and paste this here. And then let's say we have a query where we want to find out the unique categories or unique products in the entire sales related data. In this case, I want to find out the unique teams present in this company, right? So what I can do is provide equals to and then unique function. And then I want to find out this particular department. Control Shift, lower arrow key, and there you go. So we have a spell error. Yeah, I think this particular function is working here. So not a problem. Let's copy and paste this somewhere here, and then equals to unique. Then there you go. Now you have the entire departments list here, and these are the unique departments we have, right? And proceeding further, we have the sort function. Now again, sort function is helpful for all the situations. If you wanted to sort the names based on characters, if you wanted to sort the data based on salaries, date joined, or anything, you can just simply go ahead with sort function here. But in detail in interviews, if the interviewer is asking you to explain the functionality of sort via a formula or manually, then this would come handy. So here, let's say I want to use the same data table, and now here we have salary details, right? Starting from Kavya Gupta and all the other details here, right? Now I want to sort this entire table based on salary in descending order. So how would I do that? It is as simple as it sounds. It might look complicated, but it is simple. Now let's say I go to the formula and here I highlight it. So here you might see sort B to 1 or I-27, which are the cell addresses, and then 6 from a -1. It could look complex, but it is not. So let me dilute that for you. So I'll copy this and paste it somewhere here so that we don't face any spell errors. And then equals to sort. This is the function we want to select. Now here, in terms of Excel language, it wants to know where is the array. So my array is somewhere here. So I want to select this particular array. There you go. This is my array. And now we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 columns. Now I want to go ahead with salary. So the salary column is number 6. So that is what the number 6 stands in the formula. And now sort order. We want it in descending order. So we will provide -1, press tab to select and enter. So there you go. Your data set is all ready. So now we have the highest salaried employee in the first place and the lowest salaried employee in the last place. And now you have successfully sorted your data. Now, sequence is something which comes handy on everyday tasks. Let's say you wanted to write 100 numbers, or you wanted to create a data table where you had about 100 students and you wanted to provide unique roll number or ID to the students. Then this comes handy. You cannot just type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? If you just write a formula where you wanted to input 100 numbers, it just does it, right? So let me show that for you. I have simply provided sequence of 10. It gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. So let's do that once again so that you understand how it basically works in real time. So here I want to sequence 10 numbers. So all I do is sequence and provide the number of entries you want. There you go. As simple as that. Now let's say you wanted a matrix. That is also possible. What you can do is provide sequence and then number of rows. Let's say I want 5 rows and 3 columns, just like the one we created here, and enter, and there you have random numbers in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, 14, 15. These are in series. Speaking of random, we have another function for that, which is rand array, random array. Now, whenever you implement random array function, it gives you the value in decimals. But in case if you want it in integers, you can specify that particular input. So let's try that once. So here I want to create random array and I want about 10 rows. Enter. It gives you in decimal values. But now I want it to provide me in integers. For that, you can provide this equals to random array, and I want 10. I can leave the columns blank, and I can leave the minimum value as, let's say my minimum value should be starting from 10 and the maximum value should go up until 20, and then I want it in integer format, so I will select true, enter. So now I have these values here, the random entries, starting from minimum number to the maximum number and in integer format. So that's how random array works. So far so good. We have explored the dynamic array functions, which are here: filter, unique, sort, sequence, and random arrays. Now we can proceed into data validation in Excel. And again, data validation is also simple, but also very crucial when it comes to day-to-day functions in Excel. Now we will also consider the same data set that we worked on previously, which is the employees data set. Now we have about 25 entries here. But in case if you had about 250 entries or something more than that, and you had to manually add all the employee details, like let's say department details or the gender details, right? Or the manager details. So let's go back to dynamic arrays, and here we have department related data. I'll just copy this and paste this somewhere here. I don't want unique there, and I want a couple of names here. Or we can just simply employ our unique function here and this is the array. Enter, and we have our managers. Let me quickly copy and paste it somewhere here, and we don't want these anymore. And this will be deemed as manager. I think that should be good enough. Or you can also go with gender, male, female, others. Right? Now, let's say I wanted to enter these details here in terms of a drop-down menu. So in that scenario, what I do is go into data, and here we have data validation tools. Go into data validation, and here you have a wide variety of options. You can go with any value, whole number, decimal, list, date, time, text length, custom. But now I have a list ready, so I'll go with the list. And now where is the source? So my source for gender is somewhere here. Now you can also provide this as the source, or you can choose to manually write them down as well. Now apart from this, you can go with an input message. Select gender. Please select from the drop down only. And now error, wrong entry, only the drop down values. So this is a few conditioning you can make, and then your data validation or drop down menu is ready for you. Now you can quickly drag and drop this, and your data validation is ready. So whenever you select any of the cell, you will be provided with a message. Select gender, please select from the drop down menu only, and you can select any of the details. There you go. And let's say instead of the provided details, I try to manually enter some mistake. Then it will give me an error. Only the drop down values are allowed. Cancel, and now I can go with the original selection. Let's say for this one, I want to go with male. There you go. In the same way, you can also proceed with department. Now you can select any cell here, go with the data validation, and then go with the settings. And here I want to go ahead with list, and my source is somewhere here. Then okay, you can drag and drop, and you have the values. And similarly, the manager one as well. Go to data validation, list, and then the source is right here. Done. Now you can easily enter the values you want in a perfect way without any errors. And the department would be IT, and the manager would be Raj Malhotra. So this is how data validation in Excel works, and there are a lot of other options as well. If you wanted to explore more about data validation, I will link the data validation complete tutorial in the description box below. Now with that, we can continue with conditional formatting. Now for conditional formatting, so before we understand conditional formatting, let's say again, we have a task to identify students who have failed in the exam and who have passed in the exam. And here we have about 10 students, which shouldn't be a big trouble. But in case if you had about a lot of other values, maybe 10,000, if you consider a business scenario, and if you have to find out the volume to traffic, traffic to leads, leads to orders, and orders to revenue details, and you have a funnel analysis, then in that scenario, you want to quickly save time and highlight the values which are underperforming, right? In those scenarios, if only you had a tool which can directly point you to the position which product is underperforming and which product is meeting the KRA standards or KPI standards or the targets that you kept, right? That would be wonderful. So in the same way, we can consider the small 10 student dataset which has their student related marks details and their totals and everything. and you can identify which students have failed and which students have passed. So the implementation of conditional formatting is really simple. You can just highlight the data where you wanted to implement conditional formatting, then go to the home section, and here you have conditional formatting. And again, conditional formatting isn't just about highlighting the failed candidates and the past candidates. You can also create some result bars, right? Based on the progress bar, based on the marks, you can also create progress bar. Here you have the gradient fill, solid fill, and top to bottom rules. You can also segregate the data, top 10%, bottom 10%, above average, below average. Apart from that, you have color scales, and you can also add some manual rules or customized rules for your conditional formatting. It's not just about comparing the number higher than 35, lower than 35, then provide detailed result on that. It's not like that. If you wanted to implement a customized formula, let's say you wanted to find out your target, right? Let's say you wanted to have a target of 50,000 sales in a provided time period within 1 month or within the first quarter, then you can customize your formula and then input that, and based on the custom formula you can also get the results done with conditional formatting. And I will link that tutorial in the description box below. And for now, let's understand the basic functionality of conditional formatting. So I want to highlight the cells with less than 35 marks, and then there you go. Now that's how we identify the students who have failed in one glance. Now we will dive into what if analysis, which is another most frequently used function in Excel in terms of business analytics and data analytics. Now I have two sample data sets here. So the first one is the sales data. So here we have a couple of products, A, B, C, D, and E. The quantity sold, the price on which we have sold them per unit, and then the total amount which we have earned, and the total revenue which we have generated, and which is the expected revenue. Let's say we crossed, we had a target. Let's imagine we have a target of 1 month, and we have crossed 20 days, and we have 10 days remaining. And now we have reached about 38,000, and our expected revenue is 45,000. Now, what we could do in this 10 months? Now, how many number of quantity of this particular product, which is E, should be sold to reach this particular target? Now, how do you count that? Now, this might look simple because we have a very small data set here, but in case if you're having a bigger data set, then the values could mismatch sometimes. To be on the safe side, to be perfect, you can go with what if analysis. Now, we can start with what if analysis. For that, you can go to data, and here you have what if analysis, and here you have goal seek. For this particular implementation, we can go ahead with goal seek. Now, goal seek wants to understand the set cell. This is the cell which I want to set. To which value? I want to set this cell to the value 45,000, which is my expected revenue number. And which cell you want to change? I want to, focus more on product D or product E because these are the underperforming products. Let's go with product D because it is the least number. I want to focus on this product, and I want to find out how many number of product Ds should I sell in order to reach this particular, the goal of 45,000 or the target of 45,000. So set value, which is total revenue, D7. This is the one which I want to set. And to which value you want to set that? I want to reach or set that value from 38,000 to 45,000, which is my target revenue. And which cell you want to change? Which cell you want to check how many number of products you need to, what is the permutation combination here? That's the cell you want to select, right? So I want to change this cell, which is B5, and then check how many number of products that I need to sell so that I reach my target. So you can just quickly select OK, and then it has run some formulations for you. And now you need to sell 45, right? So 45 or 46 minus, let's select OK. So equals to 46 minus 21 is 25, right? So you need to sell about 25 more of these products in order to reach your target. So basically it tells you need to sell about 46 numbers. If you had sold 46 of these products, you might have reached your target. So that's the expectation here. And that's how you find out your performance here. Now, similarly, let's go ahead with another example here. So here you have a future fund amount, and here this is your EMI, which is the amount you are depositing to your funds. And then you have 25 years of tenure, and your returns are 10%. So this is the amount you will be refunded after this particular tenure. Now, let's say I wanted to know if the returns percentage is below 10% or if it goes above 10%, then what could be my changes in future fund amount, right? So if I want to find out that, it's really simple. Now you need to go and assign this cell with the location of this particular cell, which is your actual number, which you currently have with this particular detail. 10% of return, tenure is 25 and EMI is 12,000. So enter. Now you can drag and drop this to the last section with all the permutations and combinations, starting from 7% to, okay, I should have gone with this. Okay, not a problem. And now you should select all these cells. Let me quickly erase that. So my value was somewhere here. So I need to change these or cut these and paste it here, and this one here. I can quickly remove these cells, shift up, and there you go. Now when I had 10%, this was my returns. So I'm giving the address location, and then I want to drag and drop this to the last cell, and now I want to select the entire data array and then go ahead with word of analysis, and here I want to select the data table. Now I want to find out if my cells vary with this percentage, right? So this is the percentage cell, right? So I want to provide this and enter. Now I will have all my values. In case if the returns percentage was 10.5, this would be the amount I would receive. Similarly, if the returns percentage was 14, this would be my amount. If the returns percentage reduced to 7%, this would be my amount, and all the way ranging from 7 to 9.5, these would be my returns. So this is how the word of analysis data table function works. Now with these discussed, now we have a strong foundation of the basics of advanced Excel. Now relies the best part, or the most critical and important part, understanding pivot tables, pivot charts, Power Query, and data visualization, creating dashboards and reports. Now with these strong foundations or the basics on advanced Excel, now we can proceed with the advanced versions or the critical and tough versions, which are about understanding pivot charts, pivot tables, Power Query, data cleaning, data visualization, creating charts and graphs, completely functional and interactive dashboard in Excel using slices and all those functions. Now that said, let's continue. So now we have reached to the next section where we will learn the pivot tables, pivot charts, dashboards, etc. Now, let me open up a quick data set for you. So we have 5 different data sets. So before we enter into the actual data set, let me explain you one thing. So here we have 5 years of data set. So the years start from 2022, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Now, why 5 different data sets? So in reality, when you're dealing with business analytics or data analytics in the industry level, the basic expectation is to have data sets separated by dates. So in this case, you might be considering week-on-week analysis, day-to-day analysis, month-on-month, year-on-year, right? So to replicate a similar scenario, I am taking 5 different data sets, and the period will be a little bit bigger so that you can decrease the level of complexity. So these are the 5 years data sets, and we will be using one automation for that so that it will be easier for you to work on the data sets or dashboards in future. So I have created a small copy of one of these data sets. It is not mandatory here. So I have created this just to understand the data cleaning purposes only. Later, the rest of these data sets will be implemented to create a dashboard or pivot charts and everything via Power Query. That will be a next lesson. For now, let's go back to the sample copy that we have created. So this is the copy dataset, just so that we understand the basic data cleaning, removing empty cells or separating the first name, customer ID and everything. And if you wanted to include any of the custom calculations. So the basic day-to-day ones, which are simple and easy to understand. So let's get started. So here we have the date dataset firstly, and region, city, airport code, and here we have the customer details. So if you look at the customer details, you can see we have cust 0001 Jennifer Smith. So obviously this would not be the case when you are actually working with the data. This is not the basic expectation. You might be looking for something like customer ID, CUST001, and then customer first name Jennifer and customer last name Smith, right? So this is your basic expectation. And coming into email address, so are there any inconsistencies? So far so good, no inconsistencies here. And coming into mobile number, we have country code and rest of the other numbers as well. So it might not look like it's a big trouble here, but when you are working on the dataset, when you are importing the data to any of the BI tools, or maybe if you're importing the data via Power Query, then what Power Query does, or Power BI or Tableau, they kind of self-imagine. Sometimes they have their mind of their own and they consider these symbols. So here we have +1, the country code for America, and then separated by hyphens. So they might consider these symbols as mathematical symbols, and they end up creating mathematical calculations, and then we will have a final number, which is 850 minus 605 minus 5432 plus 1. It might yield a logical or numerical value, which is what we don't want. So here we might have to create some data cleaning here. What we'll do is we'll just eliminate the +1 and then hyphens, and we'll just have the actual phone number here. And then here we have the age numbers. So we have 32, 33, 58, 12, 1, a lot of them. But in case if you're working on data analytics, then you might want to consider something. Whenever you're booking tickets, whenever you're reserving tickets, there will be a separate column which says, is the candidate or is the passenger senior citizen? Is the passenger children or not, right? So to understand that particular variant, we might have to create separate sections of data. So I mean separate groups, right? So age group of 1 to 10 would be children. Let's imagine it could be different. 1 to 6 maybe children, and sometimes people from 10 to 20 could be youth, in case if you're going with the trend analysis, how the youth is traveling, how the average adult is traveling, or the average middle-aged person is traveling, and what's the range of senior citizen. So here we have use cases. So one is children, one is youth, another one is middle-aged, and the other one is senior citizen. So 4 categories there as well. And then here we have gender, and we have address, we have PIN code, and then the PNR of each and every flight, the airlines they're catching up with, and then the aircraft type, so Boeing 787, A380 and all those things, and the category. So on a broader level, on a higher level, the categories could be 2. More than that as well is possible, but let's, for our imagination, let's keep it as domestic and international. Then we have some flight status and subcategories. So in subcategory, we have private, cargo, civil, and sometimes even military could also be involved in that. So they have their separate airport and everything. So let's not consider this. Let's keep it to civil itself. So far, we have private, cargo, and civil aviations, and then the flight status. And here we have flight class, seat capacity. So based on the volume of seats. Again, this is artificially generated dataset for learning purposes only. The actual data could differ a little bit, not a problem. Now, but working on this dataset will definitely give you a very good idea on how to work on the real datasets as well. And if you want to follow along with us, please click the description box below and you will find a Google Drive link so that you can download the dataset and then continue with us. And apart from that, we have number of seats vacant. It's not every time that all the seats get occupied in every airline. Sometimes there will be some empty seats as well. Now we have cost per seat, so it is in USD. And then we have revenue generated by the airlines, which is also in USD, and some profits as well. And then the booking websites. So every time you book a ticket, you go through some different websites, right? So here we have Expedia, Booking.com, Skyscanner, Priceline, etc. So these are the columns that we generally have even in real-time dataset as well. And here we have date column. So let's get started with data cleaning. So here I can see my data of date is in year, month, and date format. And if it is in year, month, and date format, then it is pretty much helpful for you. In case if you're transferring this data to SQL database or any of the other BI platforms or any data analytic tools, then most of those data analytics tools prefer the year, month, and date format. So if you don't have it in that format, it's better you convert that. And if you have it already, then you're lucky. But there is a small gray area in this particular data column. We also have timestamps. Most of the scenarios you might have to work with data stamps or timestamps, but here we don't need it. So you can just quickly eliminate them. So here I'll go into short date format, and I have this particular format again in DD, MM, and YY. So I'll go into advanced data formatting, and then here I have custom, and here I have a couple of predefined formats, but I will like to create one of my own. So then it should be okay. So here I have it back again, and I don't have timestamps. But in case if this, since this is artificially created dataset, we did not create actual exact timestamps of hour, second, and minutes and all those things. It was just plain 00. So that's the reason we have omitted it. But in case if you're working on real dataset, it is one of the parameter again. At what time of the day, at what minute, and everything will matter. So for now, let's keep it that way it is. Now again, we have the next one, region, city, airport. Now comes the customer. So this is again, which needs a little data cleaning. So before we split this, we would like to insert a couple of columns. So one column for the first name, one column for the second name, and the other one would be for the customer ID. So let's keep a column extra for safe side. We can always delete empty columns. Now, here I want it to be split into the customer ID, first name, and last name. So how do I do that? So what I can do is I can implement, there are multiple ways to do it again, but let's implement a few of them. So this is the first name, and this is the last name, right? And now I can employ flash fill. This is one way of doing it. And again, the flash fill. So flash fill worked with the customer ID, but it did not work with the first name and last name. So we understood there is one way of doing it, but now we want a foolproof way of doing it. So what's the foolproof way of doing it? So select the entire column, go to the data section. Here we have an option that says text to columns. Now we have the text here. We want to split that into columns. Now here we have something which says delimited with. So Excel automatically identified that this data is delimited by certain symbol. So in case if it did not identify, then you can go with custom delimiters, or you can also go with fixed width. So where you can fix the width of each and every word or text, character or anything, and then split it. But now let's go with the delimited version. And here, so the delimiter that I have used is not mentioned here. So I'd go with the other option here, and I would mention the hyphen. So here you can already see we have a quick data preview. So if I have option to expand this, I think it's clearly visible. So here we have customer and the first name and the last name. Once you are happy with the preview, you can go to the next. And here, in case if you want to do anything further with the dataset, you can do it. And if you're happy with it, you can just finish it. So I'm happy with it and I finished it. So here we have the customer ID, and here I have the customer first name, And here I will be having the customer's last name. So far so good. I did not want this empty column. I'll delete it. And then we have the mobile number. So again, so here what you can do is simply find and replace. The first one which I will be finding and replace is the +1, and I don't want to replace it with anything else. And then we did the 2000 replacements, and here hyphen is the next one I want to replace, and then done. I close this. So this was a simple data cleaning method which is most employed. And again, if you want to do with a little more further implications of data cleaning operations, then I'll link the data cleaning tutorial in Excel, which will give you in-depth understanding of data cleaning. But these are the most common ones which we do on a regular basis, and the simplest ones to easily understand as well. And again, we have the address here. So if you want to, split that from street and city and everything, you can go ahead with that. But now I think address is in the perfect format and the way I need. And I'll look for anything else which I can do. I think these are good enough. But in case if we had profit, revenue, cost per seat, and yeah, we have everything required here. Now our data is good to go. Now you can quickly save this data. And then you can continue with pivot charts and pivot tables. Now to create a pivot table, it's really simple. All you need to do is just select the entire data set and then go into insert option. Here you have the pivot table. From the range I selected in a new worksheet, and done. And now you might be wondering, why did we create a pivot table? So most of the times you might have some in-depth requirements. Let's say your manager asks you to find out the flights based on the region or based on the country. How many number of flights are we having from a certain country to a certain country? Or let's say if you're dealing with domestic flights, since we have considered only American states, let's consider the domestic flights. I want to understand how many number of flights are taking off from a certain city to a certain city, etc. Or how many number of flights from a specific state, right? So in such kind of scenarios, you can do this kind of quick calculation. So I'll have states in rows and then flight details into values. So PNR. So PNR is nothing but the flight. So if you have a PNR, then certainly you will definitely have the count of customers, right? So these many number of unique flyers are flying from respective states, right? And apart from that, if you are looking for a flight delayed status or something like that, then you can also get it. And you can also find out airport code and all those things. So here we have the total count of frequent flyers from all these states. So you can quickly, on a quick glance, you can identify the state of Texas is having, no, the state of Florida is having the highest number of flyers, and Texas is at the second place. Now this is how you create a quick pivot table. And in case if you wanted to create a data visualization for this one, you can go into pivot chart and you can create. Already you can see Excel is recommending you to go ahead with the bar graph, and then you can just click on OK, and you have a quick pivot chart for your pivot data table. Now you can say total, or you can say passengers from cities, different cities. There you go. So this was how you can quickly, clean the data set and create a quick data visualization. This is not a complete dashboard. We just created, or we just skimmed the surface of data analysis in Excel. We just understood the foundational level. But in case, if the same data set is given to you, imagine this is not a complete dashboard. We did not create a full dashboard here. We just created one visualization, which is counting the number of passengers from different cities. Just imagine, in case if you get such data on a daily level, and we understand the flights fly every day, and you might have to run some numbers and find all the visualizations and dashboards every day, and you might have to analyze how your sales performance or anything is doing, right? Would you like to perform these data cleaning? Would you like to create dashboards every single day? No, right? You just need the data to be updated, and you might want to have the data dashboard readily available for you, which is completely interactive and gives you the actual data just by updating the data into the location, right? So this might be a little helpful in real term, right? So let us go through that. So basically what I'm saying is, in case if you're updating the dataset or adding the new data to your actual dataset, the dashboard should reflect the changes and give you the dashboard should give you the actual report in an instance. So that's what we're going to explore now. For that, we might have to employ Power Query in Excel. So now let's close this dataset as is. And in case if you want to save it, you can save. And then, so here we have the flight dataset, which is an empty folder. Now here in this scenario, this will act as our data source. Now in real time, the data could be anywhere. It could be in a cloud. It could be in an actual database like a Oracle database or something like that. And if you're going with cloud, then you can go with Hadoop, Azure, GCP and everything. And for now, let's consider a simple local data file where all the data set in Excel format has been updated. And this is our data source. Now, I'd like to go with the first data set, which is 2022. I'll just drag and drop it into this particular file. And rest of the files, let's consider these next year files that are 23, 24, 25, 26, and further data sets as the next periodic refreshed data, right? So actually this happens on a daily level, but for now let's consider the year level so that the complexity is minimized. Now I have the first dataset loaded in my source. Now what I'll do is I'll go back to Excel, and here I'll create a blank worksheet. So this is my canvas for now. So here you can see data, and here you can see we have a wide variety of data sources. The data can come from a file, the data can come from a database, it can come from clouds such as Azure, GCP, AWS, whichever your preference is. Then you can also come and see that the data can also be from a Power Platform, other data sources, PDFs, combining queries, and all those things, right? So we also have data modeling where we might have different data schemas and everything, and a lot of those things, right? And now I'd like to go with the other sources, and here, yeah, from file, and here I will select from folder. So data can be from an Excel workbook, text, CSV, XML, JSON form, and PDF as well. But now let's take a data source. So we created a file, right? That would be acting as our data source. So I'll go with folder, and here I will navigate to my downloads. Here I have the flight dataset, open, and there you go. So automatically Power Query will be loading on our window. So this is the Power Query window, and then transform the data. So here you can click on the combine files option, which will expand the data. Here you can click on this, and so here you have the preview. So automatically you can see that the date format has been changed, and customer is fine. And here we have the mobile number which we need to work on, and again rest everything seems to be fine. Now click on OK, and then you will have the transformation option. So there you go. Now before we get started, I want to make sure that you understand the few panels here. On the right hand section, you can see Power Query applied some steps for us. Steps in terms of filtering the data, changing the data type, and all those things. And you can always click on this into option or the red option, the red X type of logo there, to remove that particular change. And on the left hand side, you can see the queries that Power Query ran for us, right? Now let's continue with data cleaning in Power Query, right? So the first column is all about the data source, and I don't want it. I will remove it. And here I have the date format. So what I can do is just quickly right click and then go to the change type. And instead of a whole number, which Power Query has already included and performed for us, I don't want whole number. I want it in the form of date. So I'll consider and convert into a date. And then we have region is fine. And yeah. So here we have customer names as well. So what I would do here is I would like to split the column by delimiter, and Power Query has automatically identified the custom delimiter for this particular dataset. I'll click on OK. And we will have 3 customer columns, but they are named as customer 1, 2, 3. So let's change that to customer ID, customer first name. You can just double click the column header, or you can right click the column header and change the data name or data type, customer last name. So here you can see A, B, C, right? So that means that this particular data set is text type, and if it is a date type, it is related, right? We have changed it to data type. And in case if we go back to this particular one, age, right? So here we have a numerical value, and pin code is fine, PNR is fine, aircraft type, then the seats capacity occupied, and everything is also fine. The revenue is in terms of USD. You can also kind of add a currency version for that, but for now I'll keep it the way it is. Now, let's say I want to create an age group. So what I'll do, I'll insert a new column. So for that, go to add column, conditional column. If age is less than, let's consider 6 years, then I'd like to have a text format. The children, add clause. If age is less than, if age is less than, let's say 30, then youth. And if age is less than or equal to 60, let's keep it less than, middle-aged. And if the age is greater than or equal to 60, we will keep it as senior citizen. So there you go. Press OK. And then we have the custom a column for age group. And there you go. We have renamed it. Now what I'll do is I'll drag and drop this particular column from the very last position to where the customer's data is existing. Let me just drag and drop that. So I think we have the customer details somewhere in the starting section. So we have the PNR here, PIN code, address, gender, age. So I think I'll place it somewhere in between the gender and age group. There you go. Now let's take a quick look. So here we haven't changed the mobile numbers yet. So it is considering as of now as the character value. You can keep it the way it is since you also need the country code. So I'm comfortable with the way it is. And rest, let's have a quick logs. Date, region, city, state, airport code, customer ID, customer first name, last name, email address, mobile number, age and age group, gender, address, PIN code, PNR, airline, aircraft type, category, subcategory, flight status, seats occupied and everything. Yeah, so far so good. So now I'm comfortable with the dataset that I have. What I'll do is quickly go to home and close and load. It might take a little while, and there you go. My dataset is all good to go. And here I have all the queries and connections that I have run. Now, for now, I can quickly close this and change the, I don't like this kind of visual, the blue and white color. I like to keep it plain. And if I'm not wrong, I also do have filters for the column headers. So I don't want the column headers. So I'll remove the filters, and I'll now change this particular column header to my favorite color, and there you go. And you can also do some table formatting, add all borders to your dataset and everything. So there you go. Now I don't want this sheet. I'll delete this sheet quickly, and I'll have the only sheet that I want. Now that we have already understood how to create a pivot chart, I'll quickly create a pivot chart. Go to insert, and here you can insert a pivot table, and there you go. Now what we'll do is we'll create multiple pivot tables and pivot charts and take all those pivot charts and place them in one single sheet, or also known as dashboard, and add interactivity to it. You might be wondering what happened to the rest of the datasets. I will explain you in the end. Once we create a final interactive dashboard, we can just drag and drop all those extra datasets into the file or the data source location, and the dataset or the dashboard will be interactive and completely recognize the entry. You don't have to create any data cleaning operations like we did on the follow query for the previous dataset. It will automatically consider everything, and the background process will run, and your data will be cleaned and ready for analysis. All you can see is just the changes in the final dashboard, which is completely automated. Now let's create some pivot charts. So firstly, I'll go with the region and the number of people flying from the region-based analysis. So here we have the region-based pivot chart. Pivot table, basically, I will create a pivot chart for this. So I'd like to go with the pie chart, and I'd like to go with the 3D pie chart, and there you go. So I'll rename this as region-based data, and then I'll go to the flight dataset again. I'll select the entire dataset. I'll insert a new pivot table, and you can also rename this as region-wise analysis. In this, I want to go with state-wise analysis. We can also create pivot chart for this. You can go with the recommendation of Excel here. I'll go with naming this as state-wise, and then the flight dataset back again. Select the entire dataset, insert a pivot chart, pivot table in a new place, and here you can include the airport codes. So multiple cities can have multiple airports, so we can go with state here and airport codes, so that we can identify how many number of airports do each and every state has. So I'll insert a pivot chart, or you can also go with a tree map. Number of airports. So here I'll call it as data, and then we will go back to the flights data, create a new chart. Now you can do a gender-wise analysis as well. Insert a pivot chart, gender-wise. There you go. Now let's quickly go back to the dataset and see the further possibilities. Age group, we missed the age group. So what we can do is select the entire dataset, insert pivot chart, and now we will have the age group column. Insert the pivot chart for this as well. Let's go with the recommendation of Excel, and I'll name this as age group. There you go. We can also include timeline. So okay, basically whenever you're dealing with date data type, then understand you can use timeline graph for that. So I'll have date inserted here and PNRs in the columns. So now some error. Yeah. Now I'll create a line graph for this one. So we have an understanding of how frequently or the rise or fall in the travel history the month-on-month analysis, how the flights are performing. I'll take the same name and rename the sheet as well. And now let's go back to the flight data set. And we can also perform flight or flight service providers as well. So I'll insert a new pivot chart. Now we will select the airlines. So which airline is giving the maximum services, and the PNRs again. You can also go with profit and loss as well. So you can identify which airlines is making highest number of profits. So again, I'd like to go with the recommendation of Excel. You can also customize these visuals, and there are a lot of options and permutations and combinations available. Airline data, and I'll be yes. So we have a couple of pivot charts here readily available for us. Now what we can do is create a dashboard. So I'll click on a new sheet and then rename this as my dashboard. So what I'll do is I'll copy and paste every single pivot chart that we created. Just copy, close this, make some room. There you go. Now we have the dashboard here. I will select any cell and paste. We can also resize based on the requirement. I'll go to the state-wise, copy, dashboard, click any cell, paste it. There you go. So we have state-wise data, airline-based data, and region-wise analysis. So I'll also take the region-wise analysis chart and select any cell, paste it somewhere here. You can also choose to resize this. We have airline data, state-wise data, region-wise data, and gender-wise data. I'll select the gender-wise chart and go to dashboard, and here select any cell, paste it, resize according to the requirements. So we can also go with age group. I'll copy and paste it. And the last one would be month-on-month flights. So I'll copy this and paste it to this particular cell. So let's say I'm happy with my dashboard here, but now I want interactivity in my dashboard. I want it in such a way where I click on one option and all the dashboard reacts to it, right? So that can be created by using the slicers in Excel. Now here, how to insert a slicer? Just select any of these charts here and then go to pivot area table or pivot chart analyze, and here you can see insert slicer option. So click on that, and here we have a wide variety of slicer options from Excel. So here, repeat. So here we have a wide variety of slicer options here. We can go ahead with the region-wise analysis. We can go with city-wise. We can go with state-wise. We can also go with age group here, and then gender and airline as well. So far so good. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 slices. So click on OK, and we have all the slices ready for us right here. Now I'll place all these slices individually in the dedicated locations where I want them to be. So this would be our first slicer, which is based on airlines. And this would be my second slicer based on age group or gender. You can adjust the sizes. It might take a little while, but it's okay. The first two slices are in position. Just give it a little moment. There you go. Now the rest of these slices. So our age group, I'll place the age group somewhere here. We can even reduce this particular size and position it right here. It might take a little while, or it can even test your patience, but it's completely all right. Unlike the Power BI and other platforms, Excel is a little tricky, but also equally powerful. So not to worry, just give it a little moment and time, and it should resolve all your problems. we are almost repeat. We are almost at the last slicer, and your report is just one slicer away from being completely interactive. There you go. Now, since you have already selected United Airlines, it is giving you the data related to only United Airlines, but or the Southwest Airlines, but not the entire dataset. So for that, you might have to select this particular option and go ahead with report connections. And here you need to connect each and every pivot table to each and every other pivot table so that the entire dashboard is completely interactive. So here, there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 pivot tables are connected to each other. Now they interact whenever you select something. So if say I want to go with the male related data only, it will give me the male data and female data here. Or if I wanted to go with children data, then here I have the children related data only, and middle-aged only, senior citizen only. And let's say I want to go ahead with central region analysis, also get the central region analysis here as well. So that's how it is. Okay, we were supposed to report connections to all the other slices as well. That's the reason region-based data was not reacting here. So it might take a little time. So we have connected the airline data but missed the other data tables or data slices as well. So let's take a moment to connect all the other pivot tables to all the other pivot tables. So first pivot table was done, second pivot table was done. Now third one. So all the pivot tables are joined. Let's check this one as again. So report connections. Yes, we have connected everything. And state data, report connections. You can just simply right click and connect the data. Just check in all these boxes and you have established a successful connection. Same with this one, right click, report connections, check all the data boxes. Okay, and this particular data as well, report connections. Done. So let's check one last time. All the data tables are connected, and this particular slicer, all the data tables are connected. This slicer, the age group slicer, this is also connected. State-wise slicer, this is also connected. We are making sure that no stones are unturned. The next step is to just load the new data, right? So this is also done. Now, let's say I want the children related data set. So I'll have the entirely interactive dashboard working for me. So it will give me children based data from all the airlines, state-wise, age group, month-on-month flights, gender-wise, and region-wise. So let me unselect all the flights or all the filters. Now I want the data only for East region. Now I'll have all the data related from East region, the airline data, state-wise, age group, and month-on-month flights as well. Remove this filter. Now let's say I want only Arizona related data. I'll have the Arizona related data here right on my screen, and can also see month-on-month flights performance, how the flights are being taken, and how there is a spike in July on June, July, August regions, and how there is a dip during the end of the month. And all of a sudden, during the December region, you can see the region is growing here. The flight number of flights are taking a rise during the Christmas holidays. That's good. Now, let's remove all the filters and we have the final dashboard as it is. And now comes the part which we were eagerly looking for. What happens to the rest of the data sets? So that's the basic function. So here we had the flight dataset folder, which is our data source here, and it has only one single data entry, right? And if we go back to downloads, the rest of the dataset, which is 2023, 4, 5, and 6, is here, right? And if we open these datasets, again, we have a similar issue. We don't have all the data cleaning done for us. Here we have the date data type, the same timestamps here. And if you go through the customer data set, here we have the same customer ID, first name and last name attached to each other, and the phone numbers. Again, anyways, Power Query was helpful for us here. It did not convert or perform any mathematical operations here. But if you see into the age group, we don't have an age group here. We just have the age here, right? We did not categorize. So you might wonder, do we have to create all that operations again? No. When you have used Power Query, you don't have to perform all these operations again. It has been automated. Now, all you have to do is just copy or drag and drop this data into your data source and done. And come back to your Excel dashboard and you can go through the refresh option somewhere here. So go to data and you will have the refresh option, refresh all. Click on that and done. Automatically, your data will be refreshed. Just give it a moment. Expression key didn't match the row table. Just give it a moment. Go to File, Save, and then go back to Home. Insert. Where is the data? Yeah, here's the data. And now refresh all. Not a problem. So if you go back to data analysis and check, it should be fine. But if you go back to the dashboard, here you can see the variation already. The new data entry has been added and you have the updated data right here. There should be some error in the key function, but it's not a problem. The entire fresh new dataset has been successfully loaded for you via Power Query, and the replication here is already visible on the dashboard. So if you just click on these filters, you can get the data that you were looking for, which is in completely interactive mode. And with that, we have come to an end of this session on Advanced Excel course for beginners. Should you have any queries, then please do let us know in the comment section below. And this particular dataset and all the dashboards will be made available for you, and the link to those is in the description box below. And with that, we have come to the end of this session on Advanced Excel Full Course. Should you need any assistance or any other resources used in this session, like PPT, datasets, workbooks, and others, then please feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and our team of experts will be happy to assist you at the earliest. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more from Simplilearn.